you know who made it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the See Me, Be Me podcast. Today, we have Sabrina Ben Salmi. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Excellent. So, Sabrina, for our audience at home, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and how did you end up on the journey or the pathway that you're currently on right now?
Wow. Yeah, you jumped straight in. As Liz said, my name's Sabrina Ben Salmi. I'm a mother of 5. My background is actually in computer science. I studied that at university, absolutely loved it. Didn't go pursue it as a career, interestingly enough. It talks a bit about the journey. So I became a mum, had to kind of choose between going in my career and being at home. And there was a battle, work-life balance, I always say to people, was a hot mess for me. It wasn't pretty at all. I struggled. And I got to that point where I just invited my kids into my life. So I'm a mother of 5 entrepreneurial children. And I must say that the journey picked me. I didn't pick the journey. I was fighting. I had a different plan. And it was the moment I gave in, that's where pure magic started to happen.
And in terms of your background and just growing up, Sabrina, what is it like when you were younger? What did you want to be like before you obviously set off on like an entrepreneurial journey?
Great question. So just to give the listeners an idea, so what I do now, I'm an author, publisher. I've been selected to be a delegate for the UN Women UK quota. I sit on a couple of boards. I've set up a school. But I say all of that to say this: when I was a child, my dream was to become a professional footballer. I ate football, I slept football, everything was about football. It was the only thing I was good at growing up.
Which team do you support?
Arsenal as a family. I don't watch football as much as I used to, but I loved football. I used to play for Millwall Lionesses.
Right, okay. So you wanted to be a footballer when you were younger. So where did the love or the interest of going down the route of being a computer scientist? So you obviously went to university to study that. Was that something you'd always wanted to do?
Yeah, no, great question. No, actually, I was inspired by my father's younger sister. So she's actually the same age as me. I think we're just months apart. And she was at university studying this. And I became a young mum. So I was pregnant at 19 and gave birth at 20. And I remembered hearing about her journey. And I thought, right, I love that. It's logical. Let me delve into that. But being a mum, studying, life took its own twist. But that was really where the inspiration came. I looked at the salary. I thought, brilliant. Had some contacts in Canary Wharf. And I was set that was going to be my pathway. But little did I know it was going to change very quickly.
Interesting. And how was that, being a mum and studying and trying to do a degree? How was it trying to juggle and balance all of that?
It was interesting. So at that time, I was a single mum. I had so much drive. There's so much drive in young people. I think it's one of the most untapped areas. At that time, we believe we can fly, soar. There's nothing we can't do. So I remember my why. My why was my daughter. So everything I did wasn't a case of can I, can't I? It has to happen, right? So I had this massive why, so it drove everything that I stepped into.
Where has that drive come from? Because we've had a couple of people on the podcast who say, and they've been ones who did sport as a young kid, and it's having that motivation, that determination to be the best. Do you feel like that's probably where some of that's come from? Is from your sporting days of playing football, or where or is it family have always pushed you and motivated you to be so driven? Where does that come from?
I think that's a great question. I think it comes from my faith, if I be entirely honest, the connection I have with God. I won't go into it too much. We most likely discuss it as we go along. I had quite a turbulent childhood, and I remember asking God to make my life mean something. So when I became a mother, when I held my daughter for the first time, I remembered being the happiest I've ever been in my life, but it was also I felt the biggest fear that I've ever felt in my life. It was mixed emotions. I didn't want to let this young lady down. And I think that's where that ultimate motivation came from. It was something I've never felt before, and I can't quite describe.
I mean, you are the mother of 5 entrepreneurial children, so the Ben Salmis. So you've raised a family of entrepreneurs. So I see you guys had like a motto as well. Ben Salmi, teamwork makes the dream work. So what is it like raising like 5 entrepreneurs?
Plot twist. Let's just start there. When I became a mum, you know, I don't know if many parents can relate, but I definitely put both of my hands up. There's this nuance of we're teaching them. Well, actually, I feel that it's a surrendering and ebbs and flow, and we have to learn each other. When you're a parent several times over. So my motherhood journey taught me that number one, when they're young, you're not in charge. Absolutely not. You have to become good at negotiating. You know, you have to learn each other and really, really dig deep. But the beauty, I would say, is that sometimes we believe that children are blank slates. They're not. They're not empty cups that we need to pour into. And this is just my belief. Like, being a mother taught me that they arrive with these skills and blessings inside of them, and it's an unwrapping, it's an unveiling. I remember one day, just as I'm talking to you, sitting in my bedroom with the kids and just asking them, like, what's your superhero skills? And they started firing off, and I was like, whoa, okay. And they, you know, you had problems and asked them how to solve it. You know, if you're ever in a room with a 3-year-old, 5-year-old, 7-year-old, ask them that problem. What's their superhero skills? And give them a problem to solve, something that you're really experiencing. It will be electric. And I think that was a snippet that transformed everything forever, because I realized it wasn't about me pouring into them everything, that they didn't have nothing. It was guiding them, stewarding their souls, because they came through me, they don't belong to me. And that really transformed the way I parent.
And the names of your children, your 5 children, Lachey, Trey, Yasmin, Paolo, and Amir. So what are the businesses that the 5 of them run? Just a quick overview.
So a quick overview. So Lachey is in the world of cultural connectivity. She works with the Korean government and Korean Culture Center. She currently heads their 8 to 10 week course teaching about Korean culture. She's received an award from the First Lady of South Korea, which was just absolutely mind-blowing. And this all started in her bedroom as hobbies, and it organically turned around. So the company that she runs is Halukon, with one of her business partners, Nilza, who's amazing. She has her own publishing house called Stepping Stones Publishing. There's quite a few things she does, but that's kind of the core. Trey Sean, he's 18. He is all about financial education, and he desires to liberate 1 million young people through the essence of teaching them financial literacy. He's done a TED Talk. He's got his own publishing house called Influencer Publishing. He's currently at Harrow, actually, studying his A-levels. He's really passionate about education and the leverage. He's just finished his work experience at London Stock Exchange, gleaming from ear to ear. He loves all of that. So there's a couple of things he does, but the core is about finances. He feels that young men are told to lead a family, but they don't always know what that looks like, and they don't always have the right resources. So he wants to create that infrastructure. Yasmin, she's an aspiring surgeon. Her dream is to become a plastic surgeon. She is a member of the England Island Surgeons Association, and some amazing things are happening there. She's published a book with Chidibere Ibe. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he is transforming the medical industry, because all of the medical illustrations are actually in fair skins. So a lot of dark skinned people are being misdiagnosed. So they've collaborated on that. She's actually published her own scientific paper, and she was really excited about that this year with one of her mentors, Datina from Cambridge University. Paolo is my wild card son. He is everything that he just transformed my world. He loves breaking rules, but it's really great because he teaches us to live beyond the boundary condition, teaches us to go past the fear. So he's an ambassador for Playseat. He's an ambassador for Water to Go company, planted 10,000 trees in Tanzania. His publishing house is actually called Adventurous Publishing. He loves public speaking. He's been recognized as an activist, climate activist for his work.
Oh.
Yasmin's publishing house is The Choice Is Yours Publishing. Sorry, there's so many. And then last but not least, little one Mia, his publishing house is called I Am Publishing. And he's all about chess and affirmations. And he's doing some super cool things. And he's the youngest honorary STEM ambassador for Brunel University.
I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, to have 5 entrepreneurial children, that's amazing. I mean, and they've just thrown themselves into the deep end, like starting their own businesses. And seeing as they started their businesses, I imagine they're your children are all quite confident individuals. But because many of the young people that we've worked with in the past, they've had this almost like this fear of failure. So when your children were starting off on their like entrepreneurial journeys, did you teach them not to be scared of failure?
Do you know, that's a great question. Funny enough, I had one of my children who had a fear of success. They knew how capable they were, and they didn't want to do what they could do. They were so fearful of how big they will become. So we didn't really have a fear of success, failures consistently. So we had a mixture. But I think the interesting way we do things, so one of the things when you get to know me, I tend to use words that people understand, but then I explain it. So let me just give you a brief understanding. I'm a true believer that every child is creative. So my kids are not necessarily what I would say entrepreneurial. They are naturally, organically what they were made to be, right? Every child likes to draw, build, and do stuff with their hands. But in the real world, we have to use these words so everyone understands that. So what I love most about my kids, and I always say this, is that it's not a see me, just look at me. It's come join us. So there's nothing special about my kids. I know I love them. I'm always going to pick them. But if I be entirely honest, if I'm talking to a listener, in your house, there are kids and they've all got talents. They're no different to mine. Every child writes stories. Every child draws pictures. The only thing we did differently is publish them. The only thing we do differently is use the public eye, digital platforms like social media to be a fly on the wall to see them create. So going back to your question, part of our family motto is there's no such thing as failure, only feedback. So the reality is we don't look at failure as if, okay, we failed, go and hibernate, go and sit down. It's really about what do you learn from that experience? And one of Paolo's mentors, actually, someone he's collaborating with, is called Ari Rastiga. He's written this book called The Gift of Failure. You see, we've got so much of this, run away, we're failing, and embarrassment and fear around failure. Failure means we're growing. Failure means we're moving. Failure means we're trying. So we just have a different perception of what that means. So we fail often, we fail forward, we laugh at our failures, we feel embarrassed about our failures. And the reality is, the teaching, to answer your question specifically, is it's emotion. So we're not going to go, okay, I can't be sad or embarrassed sometimes. It's part of growing up. So we definitely experience the whole variation of our feelings.
Sabrina, I was wanted to ask you, how important would you say mindset is to your success?
Definitely. Mindset's everything. You see, if mindset is that they're not going to like me, this isn't going to work, it crushes it before I get through the door. I think so many of us will rise or fall depending on our mindset. You see, they often say that I can open a door for you, you can walk through it, but you stay in there is dependent on your mindset. So I think mindset has been everything that's kept me going. It's got me back up when I could have just sat down. Because, the reality is we do have reasons. I don't really like to say they're excuses. We have reasons to say, I'm just tired. But mindset would get us the rest of the way.
When I was reading your bio, you were saying you're extremely passionate about like child and youth empowerment. So I was just thinking, would you say that there's a lot of young people that you've come across who they've not had the best like upbringing and they're just without direction? And would you say that with a lot of young people that they don't have that direction and they need like that role model or influence in their lives to just show them the right way so they can achieve their full potential?
Do you know, I love this question so much, and I'm sure you'll see from my face, it actually hit a nerve for me. You see, for a long time, the conversations have been around young people being responsible for themselves and, needing a mentor here and there. It's deeper than that. You know, when I see children, I see my children. You know, when you're a mother or a father, you're not a parent just to your own. Every child you see, it comes back to your own kids. The thing that hurts me the most is not so much our youth. What hurts is the fragmentation of our community. What hurts the most is that so many adults or parents, just people in our community, our village, whatever we want to term it, are really letting our children down. I'll just be honest. Yeah. Kids are waiting to be poured into. Kids go from pillar to post, just knocking on doors and begging, can I just have an opening? When the reality is they go home and their family don't care sometimes. And it hurts because I can see how much they want to do this. And there's a lot of work we need to do in our community. There is so much work to do. And I think us as gatekeepers, we need to be willing to open the doors. Don't make it so hard. These young people keep being told to perform. They've had to perform so much to get to where they are. Give them a chance. Really just try not to ask for so much by the time they've got there, because they've had to fight a war just to get to the door.
And in terms of your own legacy, Sabrina, how would you like people to remember you, like, let's say in 10 years' time, like the legacy that you leave behind?
Oh, that's a great question. We're always talking about that in our family. This came about in a family meeting. Why do we always plan about leaving a legacy and we don't often talk about living the legacy? So the legacy that we're kind of living is creating those milestones. I really want to be remembered or known. You know, when the thought process is that, oh, that's that family, is inspiration, raising aspiration in young people, raising aspiration for families. Like if I'm an accountant, I'm a doctor, how do we bring all that back together as a family? So we plant seeds in everyone else's forest. How do we continue planting seeds in our forests? And I think as a family or as an individual, I would really love to be the person that comes to mind when you think about legacy, when you think about, wow, okay, I never thought about family meetings. I never thought about thinking about our family as an institute and running it accordingly. So those are the kind of things I'd like to be coming to someone's mind for.
And in terms of the skills that have made you into the success you are, what 3 skills would you say have been pivotal towards getting you to where you are now?
God, these questions are so good. Right, so I think mindset, we touched on it. Mindset in the capacity of what do I need to lean on in this given moment? Does that make sense? Because, you know, the mindset means that it's set. But I guess the word I'm looking for is mindset fluidity. Like, how do we have that ebbs and flow in everything that we're doing? I always say to the kids this analogy of having a jug of water and pouring it into a glass. The shape doesn't remain the same. So I think that mindset fluidity really helps. Being dynamic is a big deal to what we do. And let me just give you an idea what I mean by dynamic. So I think sometimes we're often told to stay in our lane. Don't believe that. Don't believe the hype. I don't know where it came from. I don't know why we do it. Stay in our lane limits our potential. I used to go to networking events, and if you were doctors, they only want to speak to doctors. Solicitors, don't do that. You see, there's a reason why we're all different. And I always use the analogy of a puzzle box, right? In a puzzle box, the puzzle pieces, there's no duplicate pieces. And sometimes the person you've connected to will connect you to something else. Expatiate our interests. The reality is I might be a doctor on the surface, but I might be an avid golf or tennis player behind the scenes. So don't stay in your lane, like saturate everything. And as a family, we're on that journey where we're crossing over into gaming. You know, we are all connected. Anybody who knows me knows that I repeat things over and over again. I've got this statement I say to people, we're all connected, about love, about trusting our thoughts. Because that's the reality, is don't stay in your own lane. You're so much more powerful than you believe you are. So that is definitely a big one. Realizing that I'm much stronger than I initially thought I was. I know much more than I think I know consciously, you know, where we just absorb everything. We absorb, and it's all in there. You have to call on it. And I think the third one is lifelong learning. I cannot emphasize that enough. It's not school, college, university, and then we stop. You know, it's lifelong learning. Realize the fact that you are a student in the university of life. Always be open to learn. In order to become a fantastic leader, you also need to be a phenomenal follower.
I was going to ask Sabrina as well, because one of the things you're really passionate about, like giving opportunities to young people. So what I wanted to ask is, what advice would you give to organizations who are, in terms of like investing in like young people, like homegrown talent and, you know, apprenticeship opportunities and whatnot? What advice would you give to organizations that are looking to like expand their workforce, and what would you say for them to, you know, to give opportunities to young people?
I think that's so important. It's something that we're actually working on as a family. Great question. I think organizations need to be open to having young people from different walks of life be on a formal board, be on the board, because the reality is there are things that we learn by osmosis, by discussion. If they're not on the board, you can't have these conversations. And let me tell you, your company will transform by having them on these boards. Invite them in. There are things that you can teach them, but believe me, they will come with a treasure chest of what they can teach you. So I think going into communities, definitely giving these young people a chance. Henry Ford model, create your own clientele, bring them in, let them, give them a sense of responsibility, because just like anybody in the world, if you've had to swim and fight to stay alive, you've definitely learned some wise talents that you can share. So they'll be able to depart and impact amazing things on your organization. I think just give them a seat at the table. That's my answer to that.
Excellent. Well, no, what we're going to do now, Sabrina, is going to head to the bonus questions of the podcast. So I'm going to ask you 3 little fun questions, but I would say one of them's quite serious, and I will judge you on the answer that you give. So I think we should get we should get that one out of the way first. No pressure. Should pineapple be on a pizza?
Oh yes, absolutely. I love pineapples. My kids say no all the time. Not a lot of people. I love pineapples. Just for Sabrina, give me a couple of slices.
Oh no! Sorry, Sabrina. This is the end of the podcast now. We can't go any further. No, I think you're the third person on the podcast that said pineapples belong on a pizza.
I love it. My kids say it makes it soggy. It tastes disgusting. Why?
It just seems bizarre to have it on there. It's just crazy. Keep the ham, but just get rid of the pineapple.
Oh, so funny.
Oh no, that's fun. That's funny. Second one is, if you could throw a dinner party tonight, and you know you can invite up to 3 people, dead or alive, who would you invite?
Could be celebrities, could be people in your own personal life.
Do you know, I would love to say my forefathers and foremothers. I would love to know the missing link of what wasn't handed down. I would love to know what they needed at that time that they didn't get, that halted us somewhat as a family. I would love to know where things went wrong so we knew what to do with some of those missing links. So that would be a great dinner.
And then the last question is, if you could have any superpower, which one would it be and why?
Oh, God. The gift of healing through touch. God, I don't want to get too emotional. I'm an empath and I love deeply. One of the hardest things for me is that I meet so many people that are in so much pain, and I just want to take that pain away. I meet so many people that have lived their lives for decades, feeling unloved, feeling unwanted. So I would love, and it's actually my prayer. I don't want to pray, but it's actually my prayer. Like I always say to God to use me as an instrument of love and healing. I pray that when people see my kids, they see the divinity in them. You know, 5 means grace. So I always say that it's not necessarily things that we say, but just in seeing God, let that be transformation for them. So the gift of healing by touch would be amazing, or just by seeing sight. I would just love to take pain away from so many people that I meet.
That is a unique superpower, and actually it's very beautiful. Like, yeah, I've never actually thought about that one, but the world would be a much more happier place if, you know, people could just be at ease and, you know, take that pain away.
Right. Some of the most hungriest people, some of the people that hurt others the most, they just got a lot of pain. As a coach, I do personal development, and I see is, you know, we've got 12 pains that it all originates from, like abandonment, you know, fear of failure, all these pains. And it's understanding how we can move through them, just taking that pain away so they don't feel that it's not worth continuing with love. Just get people back to a place of love. You know?
Yeah. Do you know what? Yeah, the world just needs more people like you, and you know,
Us,
even 40 something minutes in, I'm inspired. I just feel happy already for the rest of the day. So I think everyone, you know what, just come and meet Sabrina, and your pain will go away.
Oh.
No, but Sabrina, it's been an absolute pleasure having you as a guest on the See Me Be Me podcast. If people want to follow you on your journey, where can they find out more about you, or in terms of social handles, what are they?
So we've got a family Instagram, so it's the Ben Salmi family. And then all of us just put author before our names. So author Shay Ben Salmi, author Trayshawn Ben Salmi. We're all over. If you just put our names into Google searches, we'll come up on various platforms. I tend to frequent mostly on LinkedIn. Some reason Facebook has taken down my Instagram and my Facebook, so I'm not sure what's going on there. No one can contact. But yeah, we're accessible on many different platforms.
Excellent. Well, that's all we've got time for, folks. Again, thank you for Sabrina for being a guest, and I'm sure we'll have you back on in a future episode.
And
I hope you come back. And I hope
nice to come back with my young people. I think they can, like you said, it's see me, be me. It's that resonance of that peer-to-peer learning. Peer-to-peer learning is the difference that makes the difference. So young guys, both of you, keep doing the phenomenal work you're doing.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.